I'm going to show you step by step how I made a calendar. We're going to go over some details of laying out the page correctly, placing an image, and then how to put in tables. Tables is something that is available in InDesign. I'm not going to get too in depth of what it can do, but I'm going to go over some of it. So if you're on this top bar of your screen. So now we're at tables. I can create a table. These will light up once I've made a table, and I can set up tables. I can adjust and change rows and columns, fills, and headers and footers. And cell options, these are the things that you can put into the cell. And obviously there's some, you can insert a cell, you can delete a cell, so this can get really complicated as you go down. We're going to kind of just hit the surface of what a table can do. So this is going to be a quick lesson about tables. First, to rectangle, I used this and created it the length of the page for my image, and the bottom, the length of the page. For my calendar, I will place in the calendar and I will place in an image. Here's my image. I placed it in. I ask you to go look for one. So maybe you want to pause at this time and think about your birth date and what image you want to do. You don't have to do a cake. If you want to, feel free to go find one. And then I put the name of the month. So please make sure you figure out in your design of your image where you want to put month you were born. So I'm April, so I put mine right in the center of this white cake. I also made sure it related to the color in the background. And then I'm going to go over more in depth about how I made my header and put all the dates in, and then how we're going to make a style sheet still to get all of these numbers quickly in place. I also want you to call out special days in your month of your birthday and your birthday. And you really can do whatever you want. These are just a couple of ways I did it. You can put an image in here if you want to. You can design something that goes on the days of special occasion. That I really want to give freedom to creativity. Let's make your layout, and we can open a new document. So the first thing, let's do print, letter, inches. This is the correct orientation, portrait, not landscape. We're only going to do one page, unlike mine. You don't need to have facing, and the only other thing is margins. You can have 0.5. Pause this if you need to work on this. Oh, one more thing. Please name this birthday calendar underscore your name, last name. Hit create. So once I made my file and I found my images, I created a folder called calendar. And in my calendar folder, I had my InDesign and I have my link of my image, which is the cake. So here's what you would see when you just open a blank page. The first thing we're going to do is what I wanted, if you saw back here on the first, the image part is a little bit shorter than the table part. So this, you can see what the sizes are when you click on your rectangle. And we have 8.5 and 4.5. So let's go to our new page. Let's grab our rectangle frame tool. And remember, this is already 8.5, so I can just go directly to the edge. So it already says I'm good on the 8.5, but I'm not good at the 4.5. So if I keep scrolling, I can get it really close. There we go. To double check it's correct, I would look up here. So the bottom is a little bit different. So I'm going to start from the bottom and drag up width and height rule that tells me how large rectangle is that I pulled out. I know I have the width right because it says 5 by 8, but the height we want 6 by 4. So what was there? There we go. Double check that that's correct, and it is. All right, so we have our top, which will be an image, and our bottom, which will be the table. Let's place the image. File, place. Remember, you've already selected your image. It's in links within that folder on your desktop or somewhere that you know where you can find it. I select it. I open it. All right, so this is a very big image. If I double click on it, see how big it is? We can see that I might even need to go back a little to see the whole thing. So to make sure that when I drag it to be smaller to fit in, I want to hit shift as I click and drag. So just try to get it as centered as I can. And I can look up here and I can see that I didn't squish it, but I think I'm just going to change this to 82 and 82. So just make sure that you got your images equal. I just simplify it to rounding it to the nearest number percentage. And the other thing I just want you to realize is, see how I'm definitely on the image? I can see this bar. If I click here, look how it just says 100%, 100%. You must click on the image, double click onto the image to get the orange to see if the scaling is correct. If it's not, and this is unlinked to keep the portion correct, it's unlinked, and I change this to 120, see how it's stretched? You can see the candles are really fat. I don't want that. I don't want any stretching or distortion. So I would want it to be back to normal, and I would change this to the correct size. So you can see how that really distorted if you drag it wrong. And I'm going to center it the best I can. So now we have the image where I want it. I want to add type. Drag my little type box in here. Write out April. I did lowercase. And then I increase the size. I want to pick the typeface out next because if I don't, it might become too big. And I was using Super Clarendon. It's a playful, bold type, Super Clarendon. Everyone should have a typeface and an image for their birthday month. I also select it. I'm going to change the color, and I can do that easy by grabbing the eyedropper, and I can select the color background. So now I got it the same color as that. The calendar. So columns, I have how many days a week? I have 7, so I'm going to need 7 columns. And usually within a month, 5 rows. Make sure you double check your calendar to make sure you know how many rows you need. So I only need 5, knowing 7 across and 5 down. I'm going to select this square, and I'm going to go into tables, and I'm going to hit create. This dialog will pop up. So remember I was telling you you need to know your rows, and you need to do your columns. And I also want one header. Let's hit OK, and then we're going to drop it in here. So it's going to stay within the margin. Now that we have it in there, now we want, so what did I do here? First, I started adding type into each one of what you call cells. And then I tried to make it more prominent that it's a title by adding this whole bar in one color. Click on it, and you can type, and then I can select it. And see how my control panel changes? So I can center it, align it in the center. So see how that changed? So it was centered on the top, and now I centered it within the middle. I could center it on the bottom if I wanted to, or I can leave it up on the top. But I'm going to center it in the middle. You can also play around with these. These would change it to the side. You might have a funny chart that you would need to do that for. And then I can still change this size. I'm going to change it to a little bit smaller because Wednesday is a little tough. And I also want to change it to, I think, let's just go with Clarendon again. But we're going to keep it regular, not bold. So this one is more bold. And this will be regular. Okay? So that's a cell. We worked within the cell. Now we go to this cell and we write the next day. So again, I can center it, and I can make sure the right font is selected. I can uppercase it too, and I can change it the size. Now remember, we do have style paragraphs. So if I wanted to, I could select this, and I could add it. Double check it, and see what I have. So it's got Clarendon, regular, 10 points. Leading is 12, which is fine. I like to always do optical. and we want all caps. So this is already setting it up for you. I hit, oh, and let's change this to days of the week. Or just you can put days. Day. Okay? So that's for all of these. So I should be able to select this and just go like this. Right? So we're having a little problem with Thursday, so I think we need to change this to a little bit smaller letter form. So it's super easy, right? The whole idea of using this is that I can change it and I'll change all of them. So let's see what 9 looks like. That's better. Wednesday got in here. You can select them all and then line them all up. Here is the fill and stroke. So I could take off the stroke and I could add a fill. And I like to add a fill from here so that it looks and relates to the back of my picture. The other thing to do is you can, if you double click right on the line, you can change the size, making this more of a header. So how did I do that again? I kind of click on the cell and then I kind of make sure I'm not on type. I click on the cell and then I kind of pull across, which will open this panel. So I click on the cell and then I ignore that it's type and drag it across. So try that. It's kind of tricky, but once you get it, you get it. And then you can click and just drag across the square and you can change squares individually. So try it and try to, just so you get comfortable, try to change each one of these to a different color. Kind of help you get a little more control. The other thing you can change is you can change the line around it. So if you wanted to change your calendar and make all the lines bright pink, you could. So I'm going to change these to have none. And we got some of these lines, the pink, and some of them not. But see how they're starting to change to a pink color. So see that? We got some of the lines in the pink. So try to change the lines and the fill within the squares. Again, just click on it. It will immediately allow you to type, but if you keep dragging, you'll be able to just fill a box or a cell. If you're having trouble with it, I think it's better to just get used to it and try to figure it out. You could try to do fill and stroke here, and this is some sections that you can do. You could do it different. So if you wanted color, you could change it here. You can change the treatment here. You can add fill. So I added this right here. This part right here is the cell stroke, and this is the cell fill. And I can click here to preview. See how it just affected that? And all I needed to do is click on that box. The next thing is, so let's go look at what I had set up, is trying to figure out what to do with these numbers. Oh, one other thing. I want to change these to white. So let's see if we can go to our style sheet. Double click. Let's see if we can't change our color to white. And voila. All of them have been changed. Hence, again, how great the paragraph style sheet is, right? Immediately, I don't have to drag over each one. It selects and changes all of them. All right, so we're going to do number next. So the next thing, let's figure out what we want to do for a number. This is obviously 1, but double check your calendar. Make sure you're starting on the right day. You might have a different month, and your month calendar date for your birthday might be here. Okay, so you got to start on your first day of your month for your birthday. This is my birthday. So Monday, we're going to do 1. And I've already checked my calendar. 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to go up to here because I've already done it here, and it would take me a long time to fill all this in so that you don't need to watch me do that. Alright, so let's adjust this one. So the first one, I just want to use what's here. And then I'll add a new style sheet to create all of them. Okay, so the first one, again, I'm going to use just one typeface. I'm going to use Clarendon. I'm going to make it black. And let's see how large we can get this. Sometimes I like to just use the arrows to get the size that I want. I think that looks good. And then I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna keep it in the corner. I changed it a little bit from what it was. I like to hit optical, and I'm actually gonna bring it down just a smidge. And then I'm going to change the color. And I'm gonna actually not do it this way, I'm just going to select the color. So how I did that was, again, I selected it, and then I got the eyedropper, and I clicked on the eyedropper to change the color. Sometimes if I'm like unsure which tool I have on, I always go back to the selection tool to click off of everything. So I've set up my type, right? I have it everywhere I want it. This is the one I want. So that I can just copy all of these. All I want to do is create a new. And then this should have selected all the things that I have up here. So it's got Clarendon. I wanted black. I wanted 29. Yep, 29 points. Leading is fine. Optical is great. Normal case. Everything else looks good. So if you wanted underline, you could edit underline. Anything you want, you can kind of play around. If you want to change the colors within here, you could. And then now it's just selecting the type. I forgot to do one thing else, which is name it. So let's name number. So I have day and number. And again, I'm just selecting the letter and hitting the number. So much easier than eyedropping it, then changing it here, changing it to black, finding the typeface. This is such an easier step to do. Alright, so I've got my first week in, and I can just do the rest. 8, 9. And I'm just going to double check because I don't know if they're, yeah. Okay, so let's see if I can do all the cells and change the number. Brilliant. Alright, so now I have my calendar even closer to be done. And again, like I said, at any time I can decide to change the size. Like, maybe that's just a little too big. So maybe 24 is better. Now I want to go on my birth date. So remember when I said try to figure out how to do this, click on the whole cell? So I'm going to change the color for this. And I'm going to change, sorry about that, update. Maybe to yellow for me. And I think I have Easter Sunday. I wanted to put a little color on. And I want to do a little, well, that's not a great color for this. Good Friday. Or Passover. So those are the colors I have. Now I just go back because I'm lazy. And I'm just going to copy this in. So you'll type this out. So I just come back here, start a new line. But see how large my type is? If I paste this in, you're not going to see it. It might be because it's also the same color, so watch out for that. All right, so that worked. You could even change this back to basic, or better yet, let's go to numbers and add a character and change this to white. So this allows you to just change one element. I'm just changing just the color on this. Now this pops out and the color of the background stays in. This one we can leave, and it's Easter. And I can change it here. Since these are smaller types, I didn't make a specialty paragraph. And then the last is birthday. And I'm going to keep it this color. Earth. And I'm not going to have it on black. I'm going to have it on white. Just to change it up. So maybe these are all light. And maybe I could have made a style sheet for this. So maybe I should think about going to paragraphs and I guess copy, just some added copy that I'm putting in. And see, it has all the information I want. Optical, light, hit OK. And then we can just make sure all of these actually are under this. All right. So that's going to change it to white. I can do an override character here, changing it to a different color. So color, maybe make this one pink. And then maybe I change the number to pink also. An image, the name of the month, and then make sure you highlight this and take the lines off of it. Aha, so I just did you see how I grabbed that for the last thing? And I made sure I got rid of that last center line. I really want that just to be a header looking thing. Alright, so play around with this, enjoy, make your birthday month.